Hi, my name is James Hughes, and I would like to welcome you to the Accelerated Revit Selection Tool presentation. ATG is a platinum level Autodesk software provider. A platinum partner is someone who has the best customer service, best technical support, and best customer retention across authorized resellers. I'll take just a minute to tell you about myself. I'm a licensed architect in the state of Arkansas, and I have 13 years of architectural experience. And for the past 5 years, actually coming up on 6 years now, I've been an AEC technical specialist with ATG. So my full-time job is helping other architects, as well as interior designers, landscape architects, engineers, and contractors with Autodesk software. Mostly that takes the form of training, but also a number of other technical services and support. Selecting items in Revit is something that designers spend an extraordinary amount of time doing each day. And we need to be very knowledgeable about the best ways to quickly select objects so that we aren't wasteful with our time. And I hope that you enjoy this brief presentation of ways to select objects within Revit, including an introduction to CTC Software's tool, Quick Select. I wonder how many of you guys will spot the needle up there. So Revit allows us several abilities to select objects within the model, but sometimes selecting elements in the model can be frustrating. It gets more frustrating if you have to cast a really wide net and then deselect some items from that net, maybe holding down Shift and clicking them. It gets even more frustrating if you have to manually add items to the selection set. So if you're holding down Control and clicking lots of items repetitively, and then something happens or you hit Escape, it can be pretty frustrating. Revit, sadly, it doesn't have the ability to allow you to select elements based on their instance properties. It only allows selecting all instances of a certain type. But what if you need to filter selections down by some parameters like level association or height or offset? Now you could create selection filters to help with this, but those have difficulties of their own as well. So this selection process can be tedious without tools to assist you. Our learning objectives for today are going to be to recap all of the ways that we have to select objects within Revit. The second one is to show you how to access a third-party tool called Quick Select, to introduce you to the Quick Select interface, and also to generate some selections based on parameters. After this presentation is over, you'll have the ability to visit youtube.com and search for ATG USA, and you'll find this presentation along with many others. Throughout this presentation, if you have any questions, just type them in the chat interface, and I'll circle back towards the end, see if I can answer them for you guys towards the end of our presentation. The rest of this presentation is going to be done live inside of Revit. So give me just a second to switch over. I've got a house project that I was trying to have built here during COVID before I finally realized now is maybe not the time to build a house. So we're going to wait a bit. But we've got the plan and the model in pretty good shape here. And I want to leverage some of the ways that we can select objects within Revit. Some of these will be reductive. You guys, I'm sure, have lots of reps doing some of these, but I just want to make sure that we cover every different way that we can select objects. Obviously, you can click on something and it selects it that way. You can do a right to left window across this. This is called a selection window, where the entire object has to be selected or enclosed for it to select. And if you do a right to left window like AutoCAD, that's a crossing window, and anything that crosses that window is selected. If these were the only tools that we had to select, it'd be really hard to get very far inside of the model, especially in a 3D view from the outside. You'd have to hide lots of individual elements to even get to the things that you might want to control. A more advanced way to be able to select some objects, if you wanted to select all of one kind of an object, you could select one of them, right click on it, and you can choose select all instances, either visible in the view which in this case would be the whole project, or you could choose in the entire project and it will select all of that type. So as defined here in our type selector, it has selected all of the 8-inch wood rafters in the whole project. That is in out-of-the-box Revit, that's pretty close to your most powerful way to be able to intelligently select all of one kind of thing. Another way that you can do a mass selection is to do a big window. Here, let me turn the sun thing off. Do a large window across the entire project. Got a lot of pinned elements there. Unpin those. One more time, big window across the entire project. And then down here, you've got a selection filter. They drew a funnel, but we know what they mean by that. And if you wanted to select just the roofs, then you could say check none. And then you could recheck roofs. Oops. Hit apply, and that has now selected 10 roofs, including this other roof that's a different kind over here. And that is a category-based selection to do it that way. So that's less granular than the one that we did before it, but it is powerful. It is a sweeping way to select lots of different objects. The last out of the box, well, we'll get into filters a little bit too. The last out of the box way to do this is to hold down Control. So you can select an object, and if you hold down Control, then you can select additional objects to that. If you hold down Shift, then you get a minus sign near the mouse. And when you click on those objects, it removes it from the selection set. If you hold down Shift and Control, you get a plus or minus, which means if it's not currently selected and you click on it, it adds it to the selection set. But if you click on an already selected object, it removes it. That is what most users have in their arsenal to be able to select objects. If you're a little bit more of an advanced user, you might have created filters to be able to select objects, not just of a type, but that meet certain criteria. So if you are a roof that's at the roof level, you could make a selection filter that could grab all of those elements. If we want to work with filters inside of Revit, it's been a little bit since I've done this. Let's go over to View. Well, you can get there by Visibility Graphics as well. If you go to Visibility Graphics and then click on Filters, then we can choose to add a filter. And if you've already created, or someone in your firm has already created filters, then they would show up in this view. If it doesn't exist, then you can choose Edit New. And here we can do either a selection-based filter or a rules-based filter. And let's see here, if I create new, we will try to choose roofs at a certain level. We'll choose our category, will be roofs. And for this, let's see here, we don't have access to the level. We have base level. So let's choose base level. See what we have. That's blank. Equals. Now it's filled out. Eave height. Let's try that out. So we'll hit apply and OK. We've got a roof selection rules-based filter. Here in Visibility Graphics, if we hit OK, then it adds roof selection here. And we could, make some overrides here. If we wanted to turn the roof blue or something like that, then we could apply a pattern. Let's just keep it simple. We'll just apply a halftone to it. We'll hit apply and hit OK. And it takes all of the roofs that happen to be at that height and it halftones them. The roofs that are not at that height are not halftoned. So this basically, in out-of-the-box Revit, is the most granular way that you can affect a selection, and it's doing it automatically. So also this roof is not at that level, so it's not half-toned either. All right, let me show you guys what we can do with the Quick Select tool. We turn off that filter. And also how to access this. So Quick Select is part of the CTC BIM project suite. And if I click on my CTC software tab, this will install and create a tab in all of your versions of Revit after you've installed it. And so one installation will actually, I've got 4 versions of Revit installed from 22 back to 2019. One installation has placed this usably inside of the ribbon of all of those versions of Revit. We're dealing with the BIM project suite, which is the green set of tools. I've got these where they're not showing the individual tools here. Oh, well. Quick Select is underneath the free tools. It's right here. What this means is if you download a 14-day trial of this tool, all of these, what is it, like 19 tools? It's a lot of tools. You get to use all of these for 14 days to evaluate them. After the 14 days, these light green tools remain usable by you with no cost to you. And for that reason, for Quick Select and the renumbering tool, I mean, I think it's worth downloading and using these tools, even if you have no intention or authorization to, make a purchase for other tools that save you time. So we'll choose Quick Select. First, let me pull this back up. And I'll just point out some things here in our user interface because not everybody has used the CTC tools before. The very first place that I would go once you download the trial, I would open a tool that you, think, well, if it does this, that'd be great. I'd like to learn about it. And then launch this videos button here. This will take you to the CTC YouTube page that is thumbnailed for this specific program. And you can choose if you want to watch sort of a shorter overview video, or if you would like a more technical, in-depth explanation of what everything does from that video view. Everything I've learned other than using them has been through watching the videos. So I haven't had any kind of CTC tool training. Underneath this other dropdown, we've got access to a couple of other items as well. So if Quick Select doesn't do everything that if there's something you would like it to do that it currently doesn't, then that would be a feature request. And by placing that sort of lands in the lap of CTC software developers, and it will effectively, kind of upvote some things that other people may have been saying that they want as well. If Quick Select is not functioning and you need it to function in order to, let's say, meet a deadline, or in some other way you need some kind of immediate support, I would click on this contact support button to get a support ticket started. This is supported software. And if you hit the down arrow, if you just notice something strange about how Quick Select is maybe not functioning or producing a different result than you thought, then you could report a bug here. And then there's some other about documentation as well. I'm a little bit more of a video watcher than a reader, though. Okay, so with our selection here, we haven't made any selection yet. Now, if I choose to do this by category, this is how most users are going to leverage Quick Select. So you guys probably know this, but most Revit users are not filter users. Whenever I ask the question whether or not a firm is using filters, about 75% of firms will say, yes, we are. And then it's really just 1 or 2 people in that firm that use the filters, and the other people just don't mess with it because they don't understand exactly what it's doing. But if we do a category-based selection criteria, then I actually don't even have to author a filter, which I fumbled through just a minute ago. We can actually select the category of thing that we would like to select. let's go back to the roof example. Instead of scrolling, this is showing every category element inside of Revit. So I'll just type in roof, and then we'll select it out of our list here. It took about half a second, quarter of a second, and it populated all of the instance and type parameters that are currently assigned to roofs, and it's listed them out here. I love that it tells me what type of parameter it is. It seems like all of the CTC tools surface that information for you to help you make that choice. All right, we do have access to the base level, just like we did on that selection filter. And we can choose eave height, just like we did before. And we can, with this add to selection set, this is basically a preview window over here. So whenever I add to this, I've got two other ways to do it, and just hit update, then it finds the 6 roof families that meet that criteria. And then if you expand this all the way out, it's down to the instance level. So we've got the instance level, we've got the type family, or well, this is a system family, so that is the only type. And then this is the overall family for it, which also is a system family. I had to pick roofs. It couldn't be some other component. All right, and then these are down to the individual instance. You could uncheck this and it would remove that individual instance from my selection grasp, if you want to think of it that way. So if I didn't want that specific kind of entry roof there inside of my selection, I can fine tune this. Whereas, if I were writing a filter, I might have to go back and write another and condition to, exclude this other one based off of some other criteria that I have to figure out. Here, since it's listing it out, it's pretty easy to check it or uncheck it and change my mind. So we hit OK. And if the intent of doing this was to change those roof types, then it'd be really easy. I could change it in one move here in the type selector. Another thing that gets done is to isolate that selection that you make. So let me try that out. Let me go back to quick select. Let me, instead of the roofs, we'll do the roof one real quick. Under category, we'll put back in roofs. Under parameter, it was the base level, and the value was eave height. We'll just update that selection set. It's grabbed all 6 of them. You've got some preview capabilities in here as well. So you can do a zoom to fit, and it would zoom into just the pieces that match that criteria. Must have something over. No. You can also, it didn't zoom in, right? Yeah, I can't even force it to zoom in. Oh, well. You can isolate the category or just isolate those particular elements so that only they are showing. Didn't do that either. What's up, quick select? I still have that selection set active. Oh, I might have to hit the binoculars to affect it here. Isolate the element, show elements. Nope. That's just simply to show them after they've been hidden or isolated out. Well, without using quick select to do it, we also could do it here off of the glasses. We could isolate those elements so that we could take a look at just that selection set that met that criteria of being based at the eave height. You could create a dedicated 3D view to that just by duplicating it and then renaming it roofs at eave height. And then here in our temporary, we can apply the hide isolate to the view so that it's no longer a temporary condition. Now that's permanently isolating just those elements, but only in this 3D view, so that your other 3D views, you can actually reset it and make them still show everything. So we've got the overall everything 3D view. And then we have the isolated roof version from that selection. One of the things that I am using Quick Select for is whenever I join a project and I want to sort of interrogate some things or understand how many or where things are. And you can use the criteria inside of Quick Select to be able to come up with the answers for that, because it's going to fill out the values for it. So if I do another category-based approach and I'm curious about lighting in the project, and then maybe a particular parameter for it. I don't know which ones I've filled in. Let's see if I've done any cost stuff, or basically I'm checking up on someone else. Have they input any cost values? Show me not set cost. And I've got 70, apparently not many have been set the cost value. So I could do this, one at a time. I could choose one particular family style. Like, let's uncheck all of them except for this type. So that's a wall fixture. We'll hit OK. And now that we've got this one wall fixture type, now we could go into edit type. We know the cost hasn't been set. Where are you, cost? And we could input that amount. I'm going to make something up. It's a $60 fixture. It's probably more than that. So that would be a use case for Quick Select, is to understand which things have a certain value that's been set, which things haven't had data set in them, and to have them in your grasp immediately. Some other uses you can get from Quick Select. You can leverage existing filters that you already have in place. So if I toggle this over to filter, we just made one for roof selection. We can update that selection set. It still finds those 6 roofs, but if I wanted to exclude some of them based off of some kind of parameter, let me see what I might want to hold against it here. We could do it by name if it contains insulated or something like that. Well, let's do it and see what kind of parameters we have available here. We'll choose remove from selection set. Well, I don't have access to my parameters there whenever I'm choosing that. Let me do it by category. So we'll go to roof. And the parameter was the base level, which is an instance parameter too. Eave height. That would actually remove all of them. So let me not remove it by the base level. You could add to it if you had a different parameter. Let's remove ones not based off of the base level, but maybe off of the type. Type contains, can you do it this way? How about asphalt? Let's update our selection set. Yep, and it dropped off those ones that contained asphalt in the name. We're doing it live. Sometimes we get great results, sometimes not as much, but that's how you're going to deal with it too. All right, so we've got an updated selection set of all of our roofs that are at eave height that are not asphalt roofs. And it turns out I've created a roof piece on the interior here. I can isolate that, see what that piece is, and then make a change or a selection based off of that. When I'm finished, just reset it, and we're done there. All right, I'm going to take a look over at chat as well. And if you guys have some other what ifs that you would like me to take a look at for my selection here, then we can give that a try, and I'll check in with it and see if you guys are interested in a certain what if scenario. Let's take another look at lighting. So we'll launch quick select. We'll do a category based for lighting. Oh, and any of these that you need to repeat, you can save them out too. So if I keep pulling up lighting fixtures of a certain kind, then I can save that selection methodology here, and then later I could load that in from pre-saved versions of that. These are the parameters I've got access to, which is all of them for lighting. Could check by wattage. I've already done cost. What else could we take a look at? I'm not sure what all I have input values for here. Finding them by mark, that would be really easy. So mark is your individual number, or you could find it by its type mark. Let's go with our type mark. So we can't do a greater than, less than, but we can do contains or equals. So you could find an individual element. Of course, you could write a whole schedule to do that too. Let's see if we can find one that begins with. Okay, so we've got several that have been filled out as D. Apparently, I haven't been filling many of them out, but let's update and see where these that have a D value are located. The outside lanterns have that value filled out. Or we could change this to not set. So we'd want to, that's going to add to this. So now we don't want the ones that are set. And if we wanted to pick on some of these that haven't have them set, like these recessed cans, then we can hit OK. Now that we've just got that one type, choose edit type. And we could input our type mark here. All right, all of this is going to be faster than whipping together a schedule to be able to pull the data together. You're able to quickly select it, and I think very granularly select it inside of this without having to jump through the hoops of creating filters. I don't really have an answer for why. Oh, I know why. The roof selection wasn't allowing me to do that. I think because it's a rules-based selection as opposed to a selection set filter. I bet that's what's going on. All right, I'm checking over in chat. I haven't seen any kind of special requests for how to be able to select other elements within quick select, but basically you can add to, which is going to increase your preview pane over here, the items that show up in there. You can cast a wider net and then remove elements. We did that with the roofs and then removed out some that had asphalt appearing in the name. Or you could redo a selection set by choosing replace selection set here. I'm not sure how I wasn't able to get these to zoom to fit or to isolate it here, but we were able to do that out here in the Revit screen anyways after kind of confirming the selection. Okay, let me switch back over. So just wrapping up the presentation and the demo, we've demonstrated the ways that Revit users have to select objects, all of your out-of-the-box Revit capabilities for being able to select objects. I left one out. You actually could create a schedule. And if you didn't know where a door or a roof was, you could select that item in the schedule and you can choose a button called Highlight in Model. That's another good way to do kind of a data-driven find of individual elements inside of the model. So it was a shame that I left that one off. We also learned how to access Quick Select. Again, if you download the trial for that, then and just Google ATG USA CTC BIM Project Suite trial. That's a long mouthful there. You'll be able to get a 14-day trial of the CTC BIM Project Suite tools, which includes Quick Select, which you'll be able to continue to use well beyond 14 days. We also introduced the Quick Select interface. There's not a lot to it. It's a pretty straightforward program. I did have some issues with the isolating elements inside of it, but it has, everything else from making the selection to choosing from available parameters is all just simply done by its drop-down menus. Lastly, we generated about 5 different selection sets based on parameters inside of Quick Select. And so now I'm going to take a look over in chat, see if you guys have any questions about what the tool, I guess, can or can't do. And this concludes our webinar portion, or the recorded portion of Mastering Revit Selection. As you can see, Quick Select is an extremely powerful time-saving tool for selecting all of the right objects in your projects. And if you guys are interested in learning more about Quick Select, ATG would welcome the opportunity to have a one-on-one conversation with you. Might be able to show you some of the other tools that are included inside of that BIM project suite. For the most part, if you guys download the trial, you'll be able to tinker around for yourselves and maybe come up with some questions about, I wasn't able to get this tool to do this. Is it something it can do? And that's kind of a better conversation if you guys are wanting to learn more, kind of at that point of value decision there, whether or not the tool can do more than what you were hoping for. So at this time, I'll look over in chat, not seeing anything. I'm going to take it to mean that means we crushed the presentation and that you guys are perfectly happy with the demonstration that's gone up. And so after we conclude, you guys will be able to go to YouTube and search for ATG USA and find a recording of this presentation and revisit this content if you need to consider Quick Select. And there's a lot of time and frustration to be saved in quickly selecting objects inside of Revit. I'm James Hughes. And remember, the next time that you find yourself holding down Control to click lots and lots of things, you need to stop and fire up Quick Select. Until next time, goodbye.